Today, we are going to discuss one of the very important topic, ethics. What do you mean by ethics? What does it generally mean? Anybody having idea? Yeah. In fact, this ethics word comes from, as usual, Greek word ethos, ethos, ethos. The meaning of ethos is character, character, which indicates a concern for virtuous people. Virtuous mean good people, reliable character, and proper conduct. Act responsibly. Okay, then from where this morality, we say the morale, which derives from the principles for ethics derives from. This principle or morality derives from word mores, M-O-R-E-S, mores, or you say it customs. The custom of a country mean the rule of conduct. The rule of conduct of a group or a society. The customs of Sri Lanka, customs of India, customs of Indonesia. So the society is different. The values are different. Yeah. These principles are coming from those customs. Okay. Then, what is the definition of the term ethics? An initial definition of ethics then is you analyze, you evaluate, and you promote the correct conduct, correct act, or good character according to the best available standards. Yeah. Ethic is basically a philosophy. It's this philosophical study of moral phenomena. Moral is the customs, the principles. Yeah. So ethics asks what we should do in some circumstances, in different occasions. So if this happened, so what you should do? If something else happened, what you should do? Right? Ethic is not limited to act of a single person. Ethics is also interested in correct practices of governments, corporations, professionals, and maybe many other groups. Individually, it applies. As professional groups, it applies. Organizations, it applies. The government, it applies. Right? Ethics is best understood as something we actively practice. We practice. Yeah, we practice ethics. It involves constantly thinking about and solving um, real life problems. Yeah, real life problems. Ethic is challenging because values and situations are changing. Yeah, always situations are changing. So, to get some kind of idea, I'm going to share you a video. Yeah.
How many decisions do you think you make each day? If you ask the internet, the answer will range from 70 to 35,000. If you ask us, it's the wrong question to be asking at all. That's because we're interested in ethics. We're not concerned about the quantity of your decisions. We care about their quality. You might want to think of ethics as a tool that helps us create the difference between a good decision and a bad one. Ethics is the branch of philosophy that asks the practical question, what should we do? This leads to the study of things like values, principles, beliefs, and norms. These are the things that shape our choices. Ethics asks us, how should we live? What choices should we make? And what makes our lives worth living? It tries to help us define the conditions of a good choice and then figure out which of our available options is the best one. Let's say a close friend, Lee, confides in you that they're struggling with depression. They're feeling isolated and alone, but whenever they're invited to go out, they find it impossible to do. Lee insists they don't want anyone else to know. They're trusting this information to you alone. A few days later, another friend comes to you, frustrated about Lee. Lee's flaked on plans at the last minute yet again, and your friend has had enough. They've decided they just won't bother inviting Lee out anymore. So you're torn. If Lee stops being invited to things, the isolation could make them feel even worse. Sharing information about their depression might help Lee be treated with more empathy and compassion. But it would be a breach of trust. And if Lee found out, especially in a vulnerable state, who knows what might happen? What do you do? Keep the secret and allow Lee to be socially isolated? Or break Lee's trust, but do it for their benefit? Answering this question means getting clear on what matters, our values and principles. Our values are the things we hold to be good and therefore care about most deeply. Things like justice, knowledge, family and equality. In this case, we're likely to value both trustworthiness and compassion, which pull us in different directions. So it looks like an appeal to values alone won't let us solve this dilemma. We don't just need to know what's good, we need to know what's right. This is where principles come in. They help us draw a line in the sand. They determine the acceptable ways of getting the things that we value. So what's our guiding principle with regard to Lee? Some people might adopt a principle like be true to your word, meaning you keep Lee's confidence no matter the risks. Others might be inclined towards a principle like act in people's best interests and decide that it's in Lee's best interest that people know about the depression. Of course, there are still ambiguities, which is part of what makes ethical decision-making so complicated. So how do we select which values and principles to adopt? And how do we make choices when we face a conflict of values and principles? Good versus good, right versus right. What helps to orient our judgment is a connection to purpose. What's our guiding North Star? What's our reason for being? Think about Lee again. Now, think about the purpose of friendship. What are friends for? Think about why Lee decided to tell you in confidence. Your purpose as Lee's friend is to share their life with them, the highs and the lows. But it's their life and it's their decision on who they share it with. Lee chose to share this information with you alone. Given this, even if you prefer to act in people's best interests, thinking about purpose and thinking about Lee's purpose might encourage you to take a different path. Every time we make a choice, we change the world. What kind of world do you want to live in? Whether you make 35,000 choices a day or just one, what's important is that you make choices that are good and right. Choices you can justify, ones you can be proud of. That's what makes the choices actively yours.
Ethics is center of everybody's life. That video basically started with the video started with the quantity of decisions by a person taking per day. They said maybe 70, that can range it to 35,000. But not the quantity of decisions they're worrying in terms of ethics is the quality of decision. In ethics, we basically answering the questions of how should we live? What decisions should we take? They have taken an example. In that example, one of your friend, Lee, is sharing some private information with you. And how you are going to handle the situation. In some occasions, in order to, you need to make a decision between trustworthiness and compassion. The compassion is for basically to make empathy towards Liz. The trustworthiness to keep the trust, not to tell anybody. But by telling, you can make others also to understand the Liz situation. But whether to tell, whether not to tell, you may feel sometimes it is good by telling others also, we can make Li's frustration remove. We can help Li. But on the other hand, if you're telling the Li's frustration to other friends, you're breaching the trustworthiness. It's between compassion and trustworthiness. So you feel both the decisions are right. So right, that's why it discuss that video, the right versus right, good versus good. It's very difficult to make decision. So we have to morally, principally, we have to guide our decisions based on ethics. Yeah. Right. Okay. Boundaries of ethics are even changing. Now, the situations change, the boundaries also changing. Now, one time, we were not here in this world during this time. One time, slavery was acceptable. So there were French colonies, British colonies, and many other European countries. So they took people from African countries and the people were used as slavery. By that time, the society is accepting slavery. But now, slavery is unethical. You can't. Today's ethical discussions include the advocacy of even the same-sex marriage and the idea of animal rights. Yeah. But these topics that were not part of ethical debate not so long ago, very recently these things change. Yeah. The same-sex marriage, in fact, not approved in Sri Lanka, but in some other countries. Ethical inquiry covers a wide range of possible subjects. Example, personal ethics. Anybody has idea what is personal ethics? As it is shown in the slide, a question about one's basic values and plan of life. What you value? And professional ethics. Principles and practices of major professions. If you take up an accountant, the accountancy profession, so what they should do and not to do. They have principles. If you take doctors, medical doctors, what they have to do, what they should do, and what they should not do. The same as for engineers. We have professional ethics. All these ethics are governed by moral principles. Similarly, we have social and political ethics. Whether we are practicing is a different question, but we have social and political ethics. We have issues with social justice, political rights. Yeah. Similarly, the sexual and gender relations. Generally, if you are going in a public transport, sometimes maybe a pregnant lady standing, so you get up and give a seat. Yeah. And research ethics in academics and even private sector. When you are referring some study, so there is a way to refer that study in academics, in research. We have environmental ethics. So how we should dispose things into environment. We have ethics. And we have global ethics. How international affairs should work. How human rights should work. Even communication ethics for media, public relations, journalism. So how they should report. We have ethics. There are two main type of ethical inquiry we can see in the area of ethics. One is theoretical ethics. The other one is applied ethics. What is theoretical ethics? Theoretical ethics is concerned with understanding the nature of ethics, ethical language, and ethical reasoning. If you tell it in other words, theoretical ethics focuses on exploring and understanding the foundations of ethics itself. The principles. It examines questions like, what's the nature of ethics? What do terms like right, wrong, good, or bad mean? How do we reason about ethical issue? When it comes to applied ethics, the focus of applied ethics is more practical. It wants to reach a practical judgment about what should be done in a situation X, or what is the most coherent ethical view to take towards a serious issue. If you take an example, the abortion, whether to take it or not, we have to take an ethical decision. Euthanasia. You heard about the term euthanasia? That's painless killing. It's painless killing. When there is a patient suffering from an incurable and a painful disease, the, the person who is living is suffering, people who are treating is are also suffering. So whether to implement euthanasia, whether to give an injection and kill the person, is it ethical to kill? Right? So those things has to come from moral theorists. Okay. Now, um, the two sides, the theoretical ethics, applied ethics. The professional ethics is the major division of applied ethics. It is the application and evaluation of norms in various professions, right? So our aim is ultimately to learn about engineering professional ethics. So we are coming still from the background, learning theories. Some authors of engineering ethics books, um, if I name one person, one book, Whitbeck and Unger. So they do not mention ethical theories directly. They only talk about the application. Uh, Another philosopher, Davis, he says theories are generally unnecessary for good decision making. Yeah. Another philosopher, Pamantal taking, saying that any form of theory in business ethics class to be a waste of a time. But what is your opinion? What do you all think? This is my opinion. Ignoring what has been said about ethics in past few millennia, certainly some of that is worth to look back, not to disregard totally. Yeah. So trying not to use any theory, also we can say falling back into another kind of a theory, be it religious, right? In religion, saying, if you do so, you will go to hell. If you kill animal, you will go to hell. If you lie, you will go to hell. So that's another theory. Or we can say common morality. We say it's not nice to do. That's the custom. Yeah, that's the custom of a society. So basically, we need theories. Yeah, we need theories to learn. In theoretical and applied ethics, philosophers and other writers have advanced numerous theories to answer one or major ethical questions. There are number of theories and many variation amongst those theories. It will be very difficult for us to discuss all these theories individually. So there are several ways in which we can categorize or group those theories together. For example, we focus on major aspects of ethical actions such as good, right, or virtue. Then we can categorize theories according to how they justify judgments, right? We are categorizing ethical theories based on actions such as good, rights, or virtue. Or we can categorize according to how they justify this judgment, right? These are the three aspects provide a way to categorize ethical questions, these three questions. Yeah, what's the first one? Question about whether an action honors or violates anyone's right and duties. You're going to take some action, decision. Decision is to make some action, okay? So once you take that action, whether it violate anyone's right or duties, somebody else's right. So based on that, you put theories into one category. And the other question about the goods. Here, goods is not the commodity goods. That should be pursued, often thought as the harmful or beneficial consequences of action. Is it harmful or is it giving beneficial? Because of consequential action. Because of your this action, so whether somebody is getting harmful or a benefit. The third one, the impact of action on the virtue of the actors. their character, and their integrity. I'm sure you all are not clear about virtue, so we will learn those things. Yeah. Basically, it talks about a person's character. Yeah. So based on these three questions, you can categorize theories into three. The first one we call the good base ethics or teleological. The other category you say duty or deontological ethics. Other one, the virtue ethics. Right? We should know all these three type of ethics. Yeah. And those are really important and really interesting. We will discuss these theories, and we are discussing through case studies how we should look at the situations or the cases in these three categories of theories. So, if we look at an issue on a good base ethics theories, so what should be the outcome? If we look at an issue with duty theories or a deontological ethics theories, so what should be the outcome? If we look at the same issue with virtue ethics, what will be the outcome? Whether all these theories give the same outcome or different outcomes. So if it's giving different outcomes, how we are going to make decisions? What theory to follow? Is it a single theory or to follow multiple theories? Yeah, all these things we need to look at. So far, how is the progress? Did you all get something? You all understood or not clear? Hmm? If you look at um, good base ethics, these theories, for these theories, I mean the good base ethics theories, ethics is primarily about bringing about goods, the most goods, or good life. Ethical theories in this tradition, in this category, include consequential theories, consequential theories that attempt to maximize valuable outcome and minimize harms. Got it? I'm telling it again. For good based theories, they primarily bringing about goods, the most goods, the all good life. Yeah. This category of theories include consequential theories. That means if you do this, so what will happen next? The consequential effect. Yeah. So one of the theory coming under this category is called utilitarianism, or we call it utilitarian theory, where valuable outcomes are defined in terms of utility. You know what is the term utility? In economics also we learn this. Somebody's satisfaction we measure in unit called util. This term is given as utility. Okay. The people who did not study economics may be not aware about this, so I will explain what is utility. Okay, in the morning, once you get up, you are getting a cup of tea. Yeah. So how is your satisfaction? If you put 1 to 10 scale, 10, 9, 8, 7, and 10 is highest, 0 is least. The first tea, you may put sometimes the points, you may give 10. After 30 minutes time, you are getting another tea. Now this time maybe you feel it's too early to have another tea. The time between having first tea and this tea is not much. So you may give points maybe 5. Your satisfaction come down. After another 30 minutes time, you are getting another tea. So your satisfaction may go even further down. Yeah. So after another 30 minutes, you are getting another tea. Your satisfaction may go further down. So let's say 2. You are giving only 2 points. After another 30 minutes, you are getting another tea. So sometimes maybe you completely reject. Your points you are giving is 0. That means your utility is going down. Your satisfaction is reducing, diminishing, right? So this satisfaction, we measure it by utils, right? Understood? So the utilitarian theory is basically coming under the consequential principles, and it is one of the theory which is coming under the good base ethics theories. Yeah. Now we'll move to the other theory, duty or deontological ethics. For these theories, ethics is primarily about rights and duties of agents, I mean the people who are involved in. Right and duties allow people to interact in responsible way, right? What's your right as a student? What my rights as a lecturer? What your right as a citizen? What rights you have when you are going in a bus? What duties you have to do in different roles? Once you come home, once you're at classroom, once you're going by once you are in office, yeah, once you are in courts, once you are in hospital. Those duties and rights allow people to interact responsible ways. Ethic is less about individuals seeking to maximize their goods and more about right relation among people. Yeah. Therefore, the concept of justice and fairness play a prominent role in duty theories. This group of theories is distinguished by their view that basic rights and duties should restrain individual or a group pursuits of the good. Right? It is like this ethnic problem. If you take um, if you take before the World War II, or I mean, uh, in Germany, one of the minority people were Jews. Now, for the betterment of the majority, that is Nazis, you can't violate the rights of Jews, the minority people. Yeah. So, but if you look at from the teleological, the good base ethics is different. Yeah. So we have to think of everybody's right. Okay. The basic rights and duties to others cannot be overridden by the wishes of majority. Yeah. In this theory, it emphasizes you can't, because of the majority's happiness, you can't violate rights or duties of other people. It's a little different to the philosophy of utilitarianism or the previous category, good base ethics. Now we'll move on to the virtue ethics. For these theories, ethics is concerned with developing virtuous person, civic minded citizen. Sometimes we hear some people say, yeah, you have not civilized. So some societies may not civilize. Civil society should behave in a different way. There is a custom, there is a tradition, there is a norm, there is values. Yeah. Ethics is not primarily about formulating and unchanging sort of principles or duties under this category, this virtue ethics category, nor is about enjoying various benefits. As per virtue ethics, it is about developing ethical character and practical wisdom to choose the right thing to do in complex situation. You make good character. Once you are good, you make good decisions. Yeah. Rather giving the guided principles, set of rules, this theory looking at making good character by virtues, right? That is really interesting. And that links with what Lord Buddha said also. Yeah. Ethical thought in this tradition derives from the virtue ethics. We will learn what virtues are. These are coming from Plato and Aristotle, with its stress on achieving good life. Both Plato and Aristotle both said, so how to live a good life? Yeah, for somebody to live a good life, that person should have good character. When a person is having good character, that person is achieving ultimate happiness. That is something similar to what Lord Buddha also said, I guess. Yeah. Okay, in summary, ethics term came from Greek words ethos. Basically, ethics are there for us to make decisions. Ethics is so important for us to make quality decisions. Basically, these ethics give answers to what decisions to be taken, what kind of lives to be lived, those kind of questions. There are many theories developed over the period. So we try to model some of the theories, and we identified three categories of theories. The first is the good base ethics, the second is the duty or a deontological ethics, and the other one is virtue ethics. Under good base ethics, this is basically the theories coming under consequential actions. So one of the theories, the utilitarian theory, which we are going to study. The other theory I said, the deontological ethics are coming under the duty or the right theory. And there are similarities, differences among those theories. Then the final category of theories, the virtue ethics theories. This is completely different from other two ethics categories. It talks about making good character rather than giving guidance or a principle, so list of duties or list of actions to be followed. Yeah. Everybody understood? So far clear? Yeah. Okay. We'll get 5 minutes break and we'll come back. Okay. Okay, kids. Um, any unclear area do we need to uh, recap before we move to the next? All clear? Okay, right. These are the four theories that we are going to discuss: the utilitarian theory, duty theory, rights theory, and virtue theories. Now, the utilitarian theory is falling under the first category, the duty and right theory falling under the second category, deontology or a duty theory category, and the final is the virtue theory falling under the third category. Okay, the first one, utilitarianism. What is this? Hmm? What is this and what this theory says? A theory of morality that advocates actions that foster happiness or pleasure and oppose actions that cause unhappiness or harm. A theory of morality that promote actions gives you happiness. That theory promote actions of making happiness. That theory do not promote actions that make people unhappy or harm. Very simple. Now, if you further look at, I can say utilitarianism would say that an action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in the society. It is not only for you. If any of your action gives the greatest number of people's happiness, because of your action, if a lot of people getting benefit, that's a good decision that you should make. Let's say there are now in this classroom for the moment, there are only 11 now. Huh? Okay. So we are taking some decision. We are taking some decision. If we take this decision, if the majority, more than 50% of people getting some benefit, we take that decision based on this theory. Others may get affected badly, but still we take that decision because the majority is getting benefit. This theory has generally accepted principles. The first one is pleasure or happiness is the only thing that has intrinsic value. This theory believes, this theory assumes, or this theory pre-proposes pleasure or happiness is the only thing that has intrinsic value. So there is nothing else. Only value is pleasure or happiness. Nothing else. The second one actions are right if they promote happiness, and actions are wrong if they promote unhappiness. The third principle is everyone's happiness counts equally. Everyone's happiness count equally. Okay. Now, in this theory, now this theory based on three assumptions, three proposes, principles. The first one, the pleasure or the happiness is the only thing that we are going to consider that has the intrinsic value in here. And actions are right if they promote happiness. Actions are wrong if they promote unhappiness. And everyone's happiness counts equally. Now, by listening to these three principles, you can understand, you can think of, you will realize the shortcomings, the drawback of this philosophy. Little while ago, we said that how we are going to measure the happiness. Maybe in economics, we measure it in utils. I said having a tea in the morning after 30 minutes time, if you have another one, after 30 minutes, another one. So then the pleasure, your happiness will go down. Your utility go down. So in the same way, because of some action. So in the morning, if you are getting a tea, if I am getting a tea, the level of happiness may be different. Yeah. Somebody may like to have tea in the morning, some may not be. Yeah. So, but under this theory, we have these pre-proposes, assumptions. Based on that, only this theory works. In summary, what is utilitarian? People get more, the people, if people getting more, I mean, the more number of people getting benefits or happiness, you take that decision. There may be affected people, but number of people less than the number of people who are getting happiness. Utilitarianism would say that action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in society or a group. Right? It's too early to discuss example, but just to understand the philosophy, I may say, you want to construct a dam or reservoir in Sri Lanka, let's say the Victoria. One of the village I heard inundated due to the reservoir is Teldenia city. The people who lived in that city were happened to relocate. So, but by constructing that dam, the whole country is getting benefited. Under utilitarian theory, that action can be justified. That decision is to be made. Yeah. Okay. We look at the limitations of this theory. Yeah. Today we are unable to continue till 8:30. Okay, so we will wind it up by 8 o'clock. Yeah, after discussing this utilitarian theory. Yeah. Okay. Right. What are the limitations? A limitation of utilitarianism is that it tends to create a black and white construct of morality. What does it mean? In utilitarian ethics, there are no shades of gray. Either something is wrong or it is right. Got it? Under utilitarian theory, it says this is right or wrong very clearly. There are no in between. Again, utilitarianism also cannot predict with certainty whether the consequences of our action will be good or bad. Now, it is beyond this theory. Right? This theory, we are taking the decision based on the future results. But we never know whether the majority of people will get the benefit or not. For an example, let's say now we construct dam and the majority, anticipated majority people will get benefit. So having water for agriculture and the electricity, renewable energy generation. Imagine due to some reason, climate change, so you won't get enough rainwater to collect in the reservoir. So this will be fair. Yeah. So it is another drawback. Utilitarianism also trouble accounting values like justice and individual's right. What does it mean? For example, say a hospital for 4 people who lives depend on receiving organ transplant. It's a good example. A heart, lung, kidney, and liver. Right? If a healthy person uh, wanders into hospital, his organs could be harvested to save 4 people's at the expense of his one life. This would arguably produce a greater good for the greatest number. But few would consider it is an unacceptable course of action, let alone an ethical one. You got that point? There are 4 people, they need transplant, otherwise they are dying. One is required heart, one is required lung, one is required kidney, the other one is having liver issue. You take one good person, and you take all these organisms and rectify the matter. So one is dying, 4 people living. Yeah, as per utilitarian, this has to be accepted. In addition to that, the other drawback I said, the happiness may be different from person to person. Yeah. That's basically based on the pre-proposals, assumptions, the 3 assumptions that we discuss. Yeah. So as per the utilitarian theory, everybody's happiness counts equally, but it may differ. So, although utilitarianism is surely a reason-based approach in determining right and wrong, it has these obvious limitations. These ethics also can be challenging to maintain our business culture, where capitalistic economy often teaches us focus on themselves at the expense of others. Similarly, monopolistic competition teaches us one business to flourish at the expense of others. Capitalistic economy, so one society getting more benefit with the expense of the others. Yeah. So people who has money getting more profit out of business, and richest becoming richer, more richer, poorest becoming more poorer. In monopolistic business, let's say gas, when there are two or three companies and one company is giant, then he decides the price. He gets more benefits, others are day by day having issues. Yeah. So based on this utilitarian theory, so both of these are acceptable. Yeah. You can't avoid sometime monopoly situation, but it is not acceptable. Okay. To understand a consequential theory, so we will watch another video. With that, we will wind it up for today. Yeah. And we'll continue from next day. Can you all see the screen?
For some people, it depends on the outcome of any decision. For example, does it increase or decrease the amount of happiness in the world? The kind of thinking that focuses on outcomes is called consequentialism. Consequentialism is an ethical school of thought that says the best actions are the ones that produce the best results. Although versions of consequentialism can be traced back to the ancient world, the most famous version is relatively modern. It's called utilitarianism. The origins of utilitarianism lie in the work of the English philosopher Jeremy Bentham, who had a very simple idea. Bentham believed that pleasure is good and pain is bad. Therefore, all our actions should be designed to maximise pleasure and minimise pain. Bentham thought if we could calculate precisely how much pleasure and pain an action would cause, we could know scientifically the most ethical course of action. By focusing on pleasure and pain in general, Bentham also removed selfishness from the equation. What's important isn't my pleasure or pain, it's the overall pleasure or pain that actions generate. We need to consider the big picture. One of Bentham's students was John Stuart Mill. Mill agreed that we should try to create the best outcomes, but disagreed with Bentham on 2 points. First, he thought there were things that matter more than pleasure or pain. Mill thought the attainment of some of the highest goods in life required the experience of some suffering. Mastering a skill, creating a business, or raising a family are all good things, but there can be a fair bit of pain involved. Instead of thinking about pleasure and pain, Mill believed we should focus on harms and benefits. Mill also suggested another important change to Bentham's theory. Bentham thought we should weigh the goods and bads of every single choice we make. Given the amount of decisions we make in a day, that's a pretty exhausting suggestion. That's why Mill suggested instead to work out the actions that will lead to the best outcomes in the long run, and then turn those into rules. That's why Mill's approach is known as rule utilitarianism. For example, when you're thinking about how to manage staff expenses, you'd think about what policy is going to achieve the best outcomes for the business in the long run, and then apply those in every case, instead of trying to deal with every issue on a case-by-case basis. The most common criticism of consequentialism is that it can lead to justifying any number of behaviours, including the oppression and exploitation of others, so long as the outcomes are good enough for a large enough group of people. In ethics and the professions, there are lines that should never be crossed. Consequentialism can be allergic to those kinds of absolutes. It can also be extremely hard to measure competing values. If you're in surplus and you're considering giving all your staff a raise or lowering fees to clients, how do you know who would benefit more? Do you tend to dive into decisions based on gut instinct without counting the costs? Are you sometimes a stickler for processes, even when they seem to be getting in the way of the best results? And do you feel like the ordinary way you do business is getting in the way of doing as much good as you can?
Okay. Hope everybody understood the theory we discussed, utilitarian theory, utilitarianism, right? So we need to discuss another two more categories of theory, the deontological and the virtue theory. So that we will discuss next week. Yeah. Any questions so far? Any area unclear? Because these theories are so important for understanding engineering ethics. Anything unclear? Anything wants to discuss? You all want to share the attendance again? So you have to create again then. I created it again. If anybody did not update attendance, can update. Okay, with this, we will wind it up today, right? So, as a summary, if you sum up the things, today we started a new session, new area. So, understanding ethics. We discuss how the ethic terms develop. We said that is from the Greek word ethos. We, along with term ethics, we discuss about the morale, and we discuss why we need ethics. We said it is to take decision to have a good life. Then we just said there are many theories related to ethics. To understand the ethics as a model, we categorize all these theories into three based on the area those theories are covering. The one is good or bad, or other one is duty or right, the other one is virtuous, or basically the questions that they are answering. So we categorize our uh, ethics theories into three. The first one is good based, the other one is duty based or deontological based, the other one is virtue based. Under the first category, the good based theory we discussed a while ago is utilitarian theory. In utilitarian theory, what it says simply is our course of action. Our action should be based on the good for, the happiness for the majority of the people. And there we discuss through assumptions in that theory. One is basically this theory believes that the happiness of everyone counts equal, and our actions, right or wrong, we will take based on decisions, happiness or unhappiness. If our action create happiness, so it's right. If our action create unhappiness, that is wrong. And the first one we said, the only intrinsic value we consider is the happiness. And then we discuss the limitations of the utilitarian theory. We said this utilitarian theory is considering the happiness counts equally for everyone, but it is not the same. And we also said this is creating trouble sometimes because though you take one set of people, I mean the majority of people getting benefits, but what about the people who are getting harm? Yeah. So we discuss hypothetical example. In that example, we said there are 4 people in hospital. They require 4 organs. We said heart, lung, kidney, and a liver. We get a one good person's all these 4 organs, and to implant to the 4 people, then one is dying, 4 people living. As per utilitarian theory, this is valid. But can we do this? So, because of these drawbacks, the other theories develop that we will discuss in next week onwards. Okay, right. That's the summary. So thank you so much. We'll meet up next week. Bye-bye.